Hello, everybody. Phil Roder here. For my Model 2 Activity 2, I looked into traditional school thinking versus design thinking. So, if you look at traditional schooling, um, both of these pictures are are kind of amazing if you think about it. On the left, you have a school that, a school that you would see today, in 2017. Now, granted, not all classes are like that, but many are still set up in the same way with rows and teacher up in front. And if you compare to the picture on the right, not much different than it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. There are some classes that are kind of changing this up a little bit, getting kids to collaborate a little more. But in general, you still see the classroom to the left quite a bit in our modern schools. So traditional schooling, traditionally STEM subjects are often taught as a series of memorized steps and vocabulary words. So if you're in a science class or math class, a lot of what you're doing in that class in school is just memorizing, the main points, the main words, not actually doing the actual science. And like it said in Martinez and Stager, science is about wonder, risk, and imagination, not a checklist and a vocabulary checklist and vocabulary memorization. I do see this with my son. He's first grade, and there are a lot of kind of words that he's memorizing, not necessarily doing activities. Which it'd be nice if we could get into that mode with schooling a little more. Another thing about traditional schooling, traditional education model teaches us not to collaborate. So if you think back when you were in school, a lot of times you're meant to do stuff on your own. And if you're caught talking to somebody, that was frowned upon, and you could even get in trouble. And we're trying to change that a little bit. And at my school, I do see that happening more, where we're really having the kids collaborate and talk to each other more. But there are definitely still classes that aren't pushing that as much. And, it's a good thing to note that workplaces now value those collaboration skills, as well as people who can adapt at working with others and to create better solutions. Also, traditional schooling usually values what you've done on your own, not what you've done with others. Some other things regarding traditional schooling: structure is valued over chaos. So think about it. You got the lines of desk, kids going where they're supposed to every day, the same spot. Kind of that. This is how we do things. Same thing every day. Also, play is something that kids do at recess, not in class. Excuse me. That's another one of those just concepts of traditional schooling that maybe school isn't for fun. It's for getting down to work. But that's really something we'd like to change, and we'll talk a little bit about that later with the maker movement. Really, the reason for the structure is based on teacher benefit, not really the learner benefit. It's to make life a little easier for the teacher, but really, school should be focused on the learner. Um, kind of what I just said. It says these things are set into place to keep a manageable teaching environment for a predetermined content. Now, if we look on the other end, design thinking in schools, so kind of where we want schooling to go. So with that, it's a job for all teachers to learn how to watch children for signs of thinking and point them in the direction of deeper learning. And that sounds really easy, but it really, really is not an easy thing to do, but something that every teacher should strive for. Really trying to understand and know if a student is learning about a given subject. How can making help? So the maker movement, how can that help in schools nowadays? So making is a way of documenting the thinking of a learner in shareable artifact. Basically, if you have more making activities in class, you could have kids actually show you what is going on in their mind and what they're thinking, and kind of explain it to you, so you have something tangible that you could really tell if the student knows something or not. Also, the use of computers. Since computers are all over in schools today, they allow students to do things that they never were able to do before. These are just a couple examples here. They're designing some kind of boat or airplane or something, or even playing around with designs for dress. There's really multiple number of things that computers can now be used to help facilitate that with students, and they could tinker around there. If something doesn't look good, they could easily go back and fix it. And what's nice is it allows a student to take risk, and it's not expensive at all to do this. A lot of this stuff is stuff that schools have anyway. It's just a good thing to utilize it. Another thing with regarding design thinking, fabrication allows you to particularly build prototypes of expensive 3D printers. So I just threw this picture on here because with 3D printers, they're getting cheaper, and there's so many different things that you could have students do from all different types of subject areas, and really have them make something that they could touch, they could hold, they could understand more than just hearing the teacher talk about it. Something that I was reading was called Rapid Prototype. That allows kids to quickly put together a model and then get feedback right away. What's cool about that is like tech companies do that. Like Google does this all the time. They'll throw apps out to the phones, and people like us who have our phones, we could look at it, play with the apps, and we could give feedback to Google and just say, hey, let's improve this, and they could improve them right away. And it's a really quick way to improve upon something. Again, just talking about making, the deepest learning takes place when making a product. So the more we could do that, in my school, we do a lot of video production. We're a one-to-one school. This is our third year doing that. A few years back, we couldn't do that. We couldn't have kids, produce a video, showing that they understood something, or explaining, by talking to the camera. They just weren't able to do that. Now, we're able to do that a lot more, and it's a really great thing. When students share their thoughts on a product they make, it's really showing that they have a deep understanding of what's going on. And also, the maker movement can have a huge shift on, or a huge impact on shifting our schools. So, it's great to kind of see that we have this ability to get kids to be using their hands, putting things together, and kind of changing our schools from, the picture we saw in the beginning that looks identical to a lot of our classes now, changing it from that 19th century feel of the classroom to the 21st century, which is, where a lot of our jobs are heading now, where students need to be able to think through things, and as they're be thrown many, many different types of obstacles that they have to figure out. And those are some of my sources. I just used our textbook for chapters 2 and 3, and then I also found a really great article regarding why traditional schooling can't prepare students for the modern workplace. So please take a look at that if you'd like, and I hope you enjoyed my short presentation. Thank you.